Hello, all. I am going to get into a little more detail as to how to adjust, set up, and adjust your Muse 2 headband in recording your EEG signals. Now, remember that the Muse 2 headband is only measuring 4 reference points, or 4 points, and 1 reference point. But the 4 points are your medial frontal lobes and your medial temporal lobes back here. So those are the only 2. And for our purposes, that's good enough. Unless, of course, you are interested in something involving, let's say, one's occipital lobes or one's parietal lobes, in which case we would then eventually, not during this course, but eventually need to move on to the 10-20 configuration where you put on the hood, and then of course you've got the contacts pre-organized on the hood. We could talk about that much later in the course, even though that really doesn't apply to what we're doing right now. Right now, we just want to establish the basics and also do some experiments. And we can do some amazing experiments just with using the medial frontal contact as well as the medial temporal contact. First, let's work on just how you do that, okay? So I am going to get my Muse headband out here, right here. And first of all, now they turn, various ones I think turn on different ways, but this particular one, I turn it on here. And you can see that there's the little light should come on. There it is, right there. A little light comes on. Then you have to retract, or extend rather, both of the earpieces in order to put this on. I'm going to take my glasses off first. I found that it works better if I take them off first, then put this on like this. Make certain that and then pull it up tight around your ears. Now, depending upon how much hair you've got, that may be another issue. Now, I use a little headband to hold things in place, and so I'm going to put this here, and then put this back here to make certain that it holds correctly. Notice that there's a little spring, probably too much springiness for what we're doing back here. But I imagine that their R&D team probably tried quite a few different materials in order to get just the right spring tension there. So I'm certainly not going to be in a position right now in order to debate their engineering prowess. But given what we've got, this seems to work. I'm going to then put my glasses back on here. I can sort of see. There we go. And then I'm going to turn my Muse 2 headband on, or that is the MindMonitor that is on. And I'll bring the app over into this screen here now, and you can see that it's working. And when the little horseshoe indicator goes off, that means that we've got good connection with everything. So that worked, and that worked just fine. An important feature here, and this is something that you really need to tend to in gathering data, is to use the recommended settings made by the programmers at MindMonitor. So I'm going to turn this into, look at the settings here. And in the settings, you see that symbols, just leave that as it is. It says whether hide horseshoe or not. The horseshoe is, that tells you whether or not all the sensors are connected properly. And it's a good idea to, you can hide it, you can leave it on. If you leave it on, then that's going to be there all the time as you're working. and it only comes on then. But if you hide it, then it only sees it if there's a temporary or permanent disconnection from one of the contacts. I hide mine. Show values, and the value power spectral density goes from 0 to 100 decibels. Leave that on. Have that check marked as well. The show battery, that's up to you. The image format, I leave a JPEG, that's fine. The recording format, this is an important, it's this feature right here. And if you leave that on CSV, CSV stands for comma delimitation. So that's a comma delimited file. And it's for Excel. It is a comma, it is basically text Excel with a comma delimiter. A delimiter is a symbol that separates one piece of data from another piece of data. So that's an important feature to have, because we are eventually going to then transfer those files into Excel and then later into other analysis systems. And I'll show you that as we move in the course. We can certainly transfer that and export it into SPSS as an SPSS save file. We could also use MATLAB to do that, and there's really good stuff going on there. I just downloaded and talked with a couple of people at the University of California at San Diego. They've got a Neurovisual program going on down there that is just fascinating, and they're using MATLAB as well. We'll get into that later. And by the way, and I don't expect you to have MATLAB. This is just stuff that I'm going to show you, and stuff that, should you later be involved in our research in EEG, certainly we will be using MATLAB for that, as well as some more advanced contact protocols like 1020. Then we see so now here's something that I just learned a couple of days ago, where you see where it says recording interval. Now the technical advice programmer, actually the programmer at MindMonitor, says that this is supposed to be on constant, as you can see it there. And my problem was that I recorded 5 minutes worth of data and streamed it, saved it, and then went to disseminate the data. And I found that it was very, very difficult, mainly because on a constant recording, you're looking at, after 5 minutes, thousands of lines of data coming from the Muse headband. So I put it on just a half a second instead, and then I had a huge, then it wouldn't debug at all. So that is something that I could probably work on later. I don't really want to work on it now, and so let's just go by what the manufacturer says to do, which in fact is to set the recording interval on constant. So there it is right there. File name prefix, the file name prefix is usually Muse monitor, then blah, 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 something else, the date of the file, and then .scv. I leave that alone. You can do whatever you want to with that. Here's a couple of very important issues, though. The OSC stream target IP. When you put that on, now it shows mine. They're all going to be different. Mine shows 192.168.0.8. Now, it's obviously clear, except let's say that I put a space or two in front of that. It won't work. And yet still, if I then go back and look at it, it looks just fine. It looks like it would, because you don't know the space bar. The spaces are there. So you have to be very, very careful and make certain that you have no spaces there. There's something else you could do that you really don't want to do, and that is you could actually put that on another line. If I put this on another line like that, the first line is up there. The top line is up there. It's blank. And so the system will go in there and say, oh, you're not streaming to any IP address because it's blank. So it's also very, very, very important that you do not do that either. Now I need to get back over here and get rid of that. Okay, so make sure that everything's okay. So make sure that you have that correct. The OSC stream port I have is 5,000. 5,000 on most computers, whether you are on a Windows server or a Mac server, is 5,000. So I'm going to leave that on 5,000. It's been working fine for me. Now, the other thing that the programmer strongly suggests is that when you do stream your brainwaves, it says here on the, if you look at that here, it says all values or average values. Use all values. The reason we're going to use all values is because we don't want this to do our analysis for us. If we want all average values later, then we can manipulate the data that we store in order to show us the average values. So we want to get, at first, the pure, unadulterated values. The rest of this is, you can play with it yourself, the line width of your graphs and that sort of thing. Another important thing that you need to make sure of is that you are showing all 5 spectral regions of EEG bandwidth: delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma. Make certain that that works as well. And I think that we are good. I think that we're good. Here's an interesting, it says wave types, and then it says absolute, and then it says average from all sensors. But then up here, it shows, where it shows, where was it again? I lost it. Oh, yeah, here it is. OSC stream all values. Now, there's a difference. You're streaming all values. What this is going to show you are average values. 2 different things. So let's, and the rest of this, you can go and look at later, or you can email me and if you have any other questions about this. The notch frequency, we are, if you were in a country other than the United States, where we use basically 120 volts AC, AC stands for alternating current, and that current, that waveform, that frequency, which we sort of know now, the frequency at this in the United States is 60 hertz, or 60 cycles per second. If you're in another country or area that doesn't use 60 cycle electricity, adjust that accordingly. And the reason that's important is not because our device here is using AC. It is that the notch filter separates out any AC or 60 cycles that it sees, because that would interfere with our readings. So that is another important feature to have on this device. If we go back now, you can see that my brain waves are apparently recording properly. And once we are there, you can now go in, and I want to open up MindMonitor on my computer. I have not yet really done this yet. And so I'm going to go over here to this side, show my desktop. You're still seeing all of this. I had run into a technical difficulty in setting this thing up because we have, at least on my end, and your end may be a little bit different, but I've got multiple Bluetooth connections going back and forth, and the MindMonitor has to connect with the, the Muse 2 has to connect with the MindMonitor, and based upon all of these various connections, and full disclosure, I also had to upgrade from Windows 8.1, which I had been using on this current PC, which I built about 3 or 4 years ago. And at that time, I was using Windows 8.1 and continued to use 8.1 and was very reticent to changing to Windows 10 simply because of some of the reviews and the other technical stuff that I'd read about it. However, I also then needed to create a video for you in order to have a video that has my phone inset with the video. And in doing that, it required that I then upgrade to Windows 10, even though I tried literally all day long, even the day before, with tremendous frustration. Words you wouldn't possibly imagine coming out of my mouth in order to make this thing work. But it does work now. So let me get back to where I was. And that is, I've got the headband on. I showed you all the setup stuff. And now what I need to show you is the interface to Neurovisual and MindMonitor. So I showed you the interface to MindMonitor already, and that works just fine. Seems to work okay so far. It's knock on wood. Now the next thing you need to be sure is that in order to use Neurovisual, now you need to make sure that you read these instructions. One of these is that you register this particular OCX file. The other is that you also register this OCX file. This one I don't think is really necessary. And there's another important issue, by the way, that I ran into just now as well. So I'm going to show you this also. When I had upgraded to Windows 10, it took the liberty to change things on me. And the one thing it changed on me was my IP address. So if you go config IP, or not, never mind, I got that reversed, IP config, and hit that, you'll see down here that this says, and this is what you're most interested in. This is the only thing that you're interested in what we're doing. It says IPv4 address. When you look over here, it says 192.168.0.17. Now you remember I showed you earlier that I had set that up with my previous IP address, which was 0.8. So when I tried to work, and this is the importance now of having the exact correct IP address when you do the streaming. The streaming is that you have it. And then I saw, it changed it from 0.8 to 0.17. No problem, no harm, no foul. It works fine now. But make sure that you cover all of these little details. So now that I've got everything set up properly, and I've installed all of this stuff, I'm going to now stream here to this. And in order to do that, now I have to and let me bring my phone over here as well, so you can see what I'm doing. So here's the phone, and it's connecting, and it's doing that, and it will pair, and now it's connecting, and now we're moving along. Okay, so now you can see here MindMonitor on my phone. That's my phone screen right there. Okay, and when I go over here to turn this on, it is important that if you notice right here where it's that's your streaming button. You have to press that in order to stream data. And you notice as soon as I did that, we get this over here. Now there's a lot of interesting things that we can do with this, including of course recording data. I will show you how to record data in a later video. Right now, what I want to concentrate on is just what we're doing here. I'm looking at linear values right here, but we need to continue to we can also look at some other things over here, like we can look at relative percentages. Now, if we look at relative percentages, and then if we also turn the screen on down here as well, we can see, this is a different issue, which I will also point out to you, that now you can see here that up here I've got the linear representation of everything from theta, delta, alpha, beta, and gamma. So those are shown, and it shows in these colors. But you see over here, this shows the power density spectrum, and it's constantly changing relative to the 4 contacts that I'm making. Now, so we've got here a visualization of just me making this video, and that's basically what my brain is doing, or at least the brain of the 4 contacts that it's making here. And you can see over here now that it made contact and it lost contact. And here you can see I'm going to maximize this thing to show you that, so here we've got the streaming, here we've got that, the power density spectrum data showing relative delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma activity in percentages. And here we get a full vision of this. This programmer has this set up so that you can even increase the amplitude. I can get a bigger screen and so on. So I'm going to close that for now, and I can bring it back in. I think I can bring it back in over here. Yeah, there it goes. And I'm going to now minimize, go back to here so that we can see everything going on. All right, so that is how we can do this. I want you to play with this system. It's going to take you a while to just simply play with it. In fact, relative to the quizzes and other assignments going on, this is really the most important thing for you to do right now, is to make sure that you can connect to your from your Muse headband through your phone using MindMonitor, and then from MindMonitor stream over to Neurovisual. So with that in mind, I am going to bid you adieu for now. By the way, I just want to point something else. I'm going to shut this off. Stop that. Close this. And I'm going to show you right now. You see where I am on my screen? It's 99 degrees, and I'm in Camarillo right now, and it is 4:47. This was last updated at 4:46. It was 106. So I don't know wherever you are, because I know many of you in different places, even different countries. But here, it's maybe not so comfortable. I'm sitting in air conditioning, which I'm very happy about. Plus, because of the COVID-19 shutdown, where I live in the complex I live, the pool is closed. So, big bummer. Anyway, I will be talking to you later and send you another announcement regarding some other stuff I was thinking about.